that's the bottom line. It doesn't look good. Mike Ryan, Senior Vice President of Madison Performance Group, is here to talk about, to sort it all out. What does it mean? Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You're listening to talking about A.B. Stoddard, and I wanted to drive this point home again because this opinion piece not too long ago talked about how when Obamacare has basically prevented a lot of small businesses from getting into the mid-business range because the cutoff is 50 employees. When you enter that range, now you got to have health care, which adds how many thousands of dollars to your budget. So does that impact the unemployment rate?
Uncertainty impacts businesses planning. There's no question about that, and I think that's the big issue behind these numbers today. When you look at what businesses have done since the recession with the workforce that they currently have in place, it is almost a mystery to me why they're not hiring. Businesses today are sitting on about $2 trillion in cash reserves. They've been the benefit of a high level of productivity from an employee base that's shrunk since the Depression. When you look at what businesses did to survive when the recession hit, they laid off a lot of workers. So the workers that remained had to absorb a lot more workload. In many cases, it was about an extra 33% in terms of their job footprint. So there is...
Is that what you mean by overemployed?
That's exactly what I mean by overemployed. You have an employee base right now that has absorbed so much more work without any extra pay, without any extra benefit, in many cases without any extra acknowledgement or recognition. But businesses right now don't know what the future holds. So therefore, they don't know what their cost bases are going to be. They're unsure about what their tax situation is going to be, their benefit situation, and other uncertainties. So I think it's important right now that government policies become as clear as possible moving forward.
So what is the impact a little longer term of these jobless claims? Because one of the things that we hear now is that this unemployment rate is pretty much going to hold steady for about the next year.
Yeah, and the impact from our perspective, at Madison Performance Group, we're focused more on the people that do have jobs and the relationships they have with their employers. And I think the impact is going to be a higher level of anxiety among employees that do have jobs and the impact that could have on productivity. One of the things that happened over the last couple of years is employees were very productive. Not necessarily because they wanted to be, because they knew they needed to be.
They had to be.
Fear was the motivator.
Yeah.
But right now, when you look at what's happening in the future, all the data to us suggests that the high potential employees, the most productive employees, are starting to think about moving elsewhere. So I think what it might do for businesses is it might curb a high level of productivity that they've experienced over the last 2 years, and that could be a catalyst for hiring more people.
It sounds like we're changing the marketplace in other ways that hadn't really anticipated. I mean, when employers can get more work out of their employees for the same amount of pay, they're not motivated to hire more workers.
Right, but the other side of that too is that we're very much in a knowledge-based economy. And the free flow of information is critical. So when you look at the psychology of the worker today, I think it's very important that companies create and maintain cooperative cultures. A cooperative culture is a workplace where a worker doesn't feel anxious about losing their job. And the impact on that is that they're more likely to share information, they're more likely to help out their colleagues because they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're not concerned about putting themselves in a position where they might lose their jobs.
Right.
The other side of that is that when you have a lot of anxiety in the workplace, you have competitive cultures.
Yes.
The exact opposite. And that's one of the things we're very much focused on helping our clients do. But I think from a productivity point of view, the impact of these numbers could very well be that you'll start seeing more competitive work environments, and that could slow down productivity for many companies. Could
it actually have the opposite effect and actually spur hiring?
It could. I think it's going to be a question of chicken and egg at this point. I think once hiring starts somewhere, there'll be a rush for talent. You're already seeing right now that recruiters think that they've got the ears of the best employees in an organization. They've already got a funnel, if you will, of good employees that are eager to switch jobs. They're not ready to just yet because they're not quite sure if making that move is going to be as good for them as they would like. But yeah, I think you're going to see job growth very quickly, probably at the beginning of the next calendar year. I just think it's a matter of uncertainty clearing up, some proposals being clear as to what we're doing moving forward, and then businesses deciding that they want to grow, not so much in the backs of the people that they have, but also with additional headcount as well.
And what about the issue of the underemployed? Because we talk a lot about them. Are they playing a factor in this game as well?
Yes, they are. I mean, there's more people out there that are working part-time that probably should be, and it's a supply and demand issue. As long as you've got people that are willing to work, part-time and fill in the gaps as needed, then organizations aren't necessarily going to invest in full-time employees if they don't have to. It's just good business. I don't blame them. But again, I think it's going to be important for organizations to think about the strength of their ranks moving forward and the stability of their ranks. You know, we've talked about uncertainty in terms of policy, but you also need certainty in terms of running a business. And part of that is having full-time employees versus just people that are working part-time for you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Mike Ryan, Senior Vice President of the
pleasure.
Madison Performance Group, talking about those jobless numbers out today. Thank you so much.